Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Brave Room, now with a built-in Ethernet port and a better screen, technically. Big ol' asterisk over there. As always, I'm your host, Juan Amirul, and with me today I have...
Kit of GamerBraves, Yahoo!
Also with a built-in Ethernet port. What is this joke that I insist on making work, even though it clearly is not working? That's right, we're talking about the new Nintendo Switch.
Inverted commas.
It is a new Nintendo Switch. It is a physically new Switch. So this is a rare topical episode. So, the other day, I was enjoying this nice game on Steam called 3D Custom Made. And what should I get but a ping that the new Nintendo Switch has been announced? And that's all the information you get about what I was doing at the time. And for months now, how long has it been? We have been hearing non-stop about this Nintendo Switch Pro on the horizon, right?
Yeah. I even covered at least one piece on it.
There's been I think it started in February, where Bloomberg was like, a new Switch is coming, and everyone's like, of course. We're at the halfway point of the Switch's life cycle. Of course they're gonna do something new with it. And then I don't know where it came from, because Bloomberg is super ethical and paywalls their content. But so there was all this talk about a 4K enabled Switch, and the name Switch Pro started getting thrown around, and then there were listings. That was my favorite one, the week of E3. Listings for the Switch Pro, complete with images that we reported on, mind you. And we were like, oh man, they're definitely going to show it at E3. Thing doesn't show up at E3. Then suddenly one night, 3D Custom Made 2, bam, new Switch announced. So, as the person who covered it, Kit, please introduce the air quotes Nintendo Switch Pro.
Announcing the Nintendo Switch OLED model with a 7-inch OLED screen, a LAN Ethernet port. That's it? Question mark?
Hey, don't you dare diss the new kickstand.
Yes, I saw people, they will say, oh my god, they acknowledged that the kickstand sucked.
It does suck. Every time I use it, I feel like I'm gonna break my Switch.
And so yeah, the thing.
Yeah, so now wait, you forgot to mention the performance upgrades. What about the performance upgrades?
The performance upgrades are fill in the blank, none.
But it's the Nintendo Switch Pro, isn't it?
It's the Nintendo Switch OLED version, no Pro.
What? That's right. That whole protracted bit. Ta-da! No performance upgrades. Okay, so I feel like we've talked about this off camera quite a bit, because we had a whole news cycle about it. Go check out GamerBraves.com. We did a poll where we polled readers on what they thought about it. We did our own take on it. Basically, yeah, it's kind of disappointing that we didn't get a better Switch. But at the same time, well, thank God I don't have to upgrade my Switch model, right?
Yeah. I mean, even if there was a Pro version, I wasn't going to upgrade it anyways. Well, Nintendo barely says anything, so in this case, yeah, that was a definite no.
Yeah, they never said any of that. In fact, I don't think they ever even confirmed a new Switch was coming. But of course, that's like one of the worst kept secrets ever. Every console has its beta version released later on. Like the 3DS and the new Nintendo 3DS. That was a whole mess. We had the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Advance SP, still one of the greatest handhelds ever made. And then, Did the GameCube have a second version? I don't remember. But yeah.
Honestly, I never actually got into consoles that wasn't PC, which isn't a console, it's a PC. The earliest console I had was the 3DS, so yeah, should go figure.
Okay, so I'm gonna drop a truth bomb on you here. From a marketing perspective, it is a good thing that they did not release a more powerful Switch. It's bad for us, but it makes sense in a marketing perspective. So look at it this way, right? The Nintendo Switch is the equivalent of the one-handed weapon in a game where weapons are usually two-handed. Its main, no one has ever bought a Nintendo Switch because the games look better on a Switch, right?
Yeah.
They've either bought it because it only exists on the Switch, like Pokemon and Smash, or because it's a better experience on the Switch because you can carry it around, like Monster Hunter Stories 2 and TwiWi. If Nintendo poured a bunch of money into getting, a super good GPU on it, here's what would happen. Either the new console is now too big to carry around, which, hurts people who want to play their games on the go, or it becomes it just becomes the Switch bottom, where it's just permanently docked, right?
Yeah.
Because look at the PS5. The PS5 is arguably one of the most powerful graphically consoles on the market right now. They did that teardown video of it. Half that thing is cooling. Half that thing is dedicated to stopping it from bursting into flames. That's what
yeah.
And the Switch needs to compete with that. The Switch, being a dual form console, has to compete with a console who doubled down on one thing. Even the Xbox Series S has that giant heatsink in the middle of it.
The fridge.
Yeah, no, that's the X. The X is the fridge. Yeah, that's the one with the chimney. That's why bother competing with that when people just want to go play your games on the bus? When I went to the UK, I couldn't bring my PS4 with me. You know what I could bring? I brought my Switch.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. And again, Nintendo never promised we were getting a better console. It does suck though, because I do wish that some Nintendo Switch games were a little better optimized. Looking at you, Astral Chain. Looking at you.
Most recently, Monster Hunter Stories 2. It's a bit...
Oh yeah, that's another topical thing. Monster Hunter Stories 2. My friend told me the overworld is 60 FPS, but the combat is 30 or something like that.
Honestly, I haven't played that deeply into it, but the frame drops are noticeable. So, yikes, I guess.
Oh, better yet, let's shame a first-party title. Pokemon Sword and Shield runs like ass on the Switch.
It's like how the Sun and Moon also ran like ass on the 3DS.
No, but see, here's the thing. Sun and Moon came out at the end of the 3DS life cycle, and you could argue that maybe they were pushing the game too hard, because it had you could have 5 Pokemon with claw physics on them on screen at a time. Maybe. I'm not saying that is the reason. I'm just saying you could make that argument, right?
Uh-huh.
This is the first Pokemon game being released on the console. How could you not get it to run on the console properly?
Oopsie.
Yeah, there really is just no excuse there. You're first party.
No, but then I'm just remembering how people were comparing Persona 5 Scramble loading times. Yikes, that Switch loading time. Just waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah, exactly. So the Switch could use a hardware upgrade.
But you could just be here all day listing all the games that would have an improved experience on the Switch if they actually, had a new proper new model with hardware upgrades. But you know.
On the other hand, you know what game runs surprisingly well on the Switch? Monster Hunter
Do tell.
Rise.
Oh?
Monster Hunter Rise runs like way better than I thought it would.
Huh.
Like minimal loading, like consistent frame rate. It feels good.
Is Rise the one that was Switch exclusive?
Yeah, well, it's coming to PC next year, but yeah.
Maybe that's why, because stories came out on multiple platforms, so
Yeah, but we know that Rise was also developed for PC and Switch. But here's the thing. The RE engine works miracles, apparently. Because previous Monster Hunter games did not run great on their own consoles. Generations ran like ass on the 3DS. So yeah. I still remember they had to, like, it was so bad for Generations that they had to reduce the FOV.
oh,
Yeah, it was not good. I remember, like, if I entered certain areas, the camera would lower a bit, and then a blade of grass would eat up like a third of the screen because the FOV was so bad.
oh dear.
Then they announced the G rank version, Generations Ultimate for the Switch, and I was just like, oh, thank God. But yeah, man, I think the thing I don't understand about people is they keep comparing the Switch as a home console when you really shouldn't, because that I don't think it ever set out to be a home console. It's a handheld with a home console gimmick. It's how
Yeah.
I've always viewed it.
Yeah, I feel the same way, because like it comes with a dock and all that, but I don't use the dock like 90% of the time. So it's just kind of like a bonus.
I mean, for me, like, if I'm at home, I use the dock. Like, if I'm at my desk, or like, for Rise, when I was doing all those guides, I was, clocking in like 3-hour sessions of Rise. Those are all docked, right? But dude, just picking it up and going out and like sitting somewhere and playing. Like when I went to go get vaccinated, I was playing Rise in the queue. I had to wait like an hour for my session to start, and so everyone else is standing around pacing anxiously and trying not to die of a deadly flesh virus, and I'm just like, I'm fighting a bear off. Nintendo should hire me, man. I am like the most pro handheld gamer like that I know of.
Does mobile count?
No.
Oh well, that's kind of handheld,
It is, but mobile gaming is its own thing.
Yeah.
Oh god, I remember back in my old life, there was an event at this place in Malaysia called Battle Arena. It's like they called it an esports arena type
Yeah, I've
thing.
been there.
Yeah. So they had this they called it handheld gaming event. Like the idea was you all come and then sit together and play your games together, in person, right? Without being separated by like big PCs or whatever. And so everyone there, it was a mobile game event. People were playing Mobile Legends, and I'm the only person there with my freaking 3DS.
Congrats on being the hipster.
Yeah, and I'm playing. I don't even remember what I was playing at the time. Oh god, it was probably Monster Hunter, but I can't confirm or deny it. But yeah, no, like Nintendo, please, I'll forward you my bank details. You can write the check out to me, and I will gladly be your influencer for handheld gaming.
I just feel like that's how Nintendo works. They are weird most of the time.
I saw this great comment from a games journalist who was just like, why are you surprised Nintendo was weird? They once flew me out to LA to watch them, so that I could watch them fold cardboard.
That was the
Laboya.
Oh god, Laboya. The name just escaped me for a moment. I mean, that's a fun thing, but folding cardboard over their Switch, it's
Paying Like how much was it?
High gameplay.
200 ringgit for a piece of cardboard, yeah?
Yeah, I don't remember the local prices. There were like quite a number of sets, didn't they?
Yeah. But the most impressive ones were all very spenny. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think
the conversion just hurts like hell, man.
yeah. Oh, we didn't even get into that. The Switch OLED is more expensive than the base Switch by like a lot.
$50, I believe.
Yep, 50 USD. It's how much is it? Like 300 something? I'm gonna look this up on the reputable gaming website, GamerBraves.
I believe it was 349.99.
Yeah, yep, 350 USD, basically. I've seen some weird like fanboyism to defend this, by the way.
The $50 increase.
Just in general, defending the Switch OLED.
Okay, hit me with it.
Someone said, "Oh, it's not targeted at the normal people. It's targeted at families that already own a Switch. So you buy yourself the OLED and then give your Switch to someone else in the family." And I'm like, wow, Nintendo really hitting that niche market. Families with multiple children, one of which already owns a Switch.
Like, you wouldn't get all of them the same Switch. Each of them a Switch, I mean, at the same time.
Yeah. Like, what? That's the weirdest reach ever. And I really like Daniel Ahmad's argument for it, which is that, yeah, no, it's targeted for people who don't have a Switch yet. It's targeted at people who don't have a Switch yet, heard that the Switch is doing really, really well, because, I think it was the best-selling console for last year.
Yeah, I think it's also on track for this year, presumably, but we have to double check on that.
Yeah, because someone made up this console called a PS5, and then apparently people keep buying it despite the fact it doesn't exist. Like, I know people who had no interest in getting a Switch, and then after like all the news about how the Switch was the must-have pandemic console, they were like, oh, should I get a Switch? And then when you look up the Switch, you'll hear that, oh, the Switch released in 2017. That's a very old console. That's practically a dinosaur by now. That's the point of this re-release, essentially. It's like, no, look, here is the new model of Switch. Here is the good Switch. It's newer than the PS5. If that exists.
If that exists.
So yeah. Like, I can totally see that argument. And if you look at stuff, like the kickstand, the more storage space, those are all great for people who like handheld.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have the data to back this up, so I'll make up my own data, but I'm pretty sure more people casually use it handheld than they do docked.
Speaking of which, that's me. Add 1 to that number.
Yeah, see? So I'm pretty sure like there's a weird like gamer bias going on right now, where like those of us harder core, I would never call myself a hardcore gamer, but harder core gamers are more like, yeah, of course we're gonna use it docked. I sit in my entertainment center all day and complain about Kazuya being in Smash, but for your average like your average like salaryman type, of course they're gonna play it handheld more.
Yeah, especially people like me who take like 2 hours public transport both ways. What else better to do but to get a handheld console?
So yeah, I think it's important to think about that, and that's a really interesting idea for Nintendo to do. Like, it sucks for us, obviously, but hey, we don't have to upgrade our Switch anymore. Yep. I do like that they added the Ethernet port, though I was listening to another podcast talk about it, where they were like, that's not a value add, that's a problem fix.
Yeah, I did look through the comments, and like, yeah, it should have all this should have been in the base Switch, and I get the idea, but It's Nintendo.
Oh yeah, the Ethernet port, right?
Yeah.
I already bought an Ethernet adapter.
Sorry for your loss.
Dude, it was like $30. I don't care.
You mean you don't want to pay extra RM200 for the Ethernet port built in?
Yeah, and a whole second Switch, yeah. Also, so we did our survey report, right? The amount of people who are like, I want a 4K Switch, is just like, do you, or did marketing tell you that you want a 4K? I could not think of a feature I care less about than 4K.
I can't even buy a monitor that supports 4K.
It's like, because again, the Switch is a handheld. What you're gonna do with a tiny 4K screen? Like, surprise. Most phones are at 4K. I think not even the ROG phone is a 4K, right? Let's
look that up. Because I don't really look at these stats.
Actually, the ROG phone is like a weird case where it might actually be 4K. Like, 4K output is just almost never worth it. I would gladly take games at 1080, just get me a better refresh rate.
Get me faster loading times, I think that's fine.
Yeah,
that's good enough.
The fact that we didn't get an SSD switch, that's what hurts.
One would hope that it'll be eventually coming.
I have no clue. I can't even. By the way, can confirm, not 4K.
Okay, cool.
It runs 2448 by 1080. So yeah, 1080p screen.
But then the thing is like 4K, whatever, improved graphics, hardware, etc., and all that. But I kind of get the idea. It's probably a bit more difficult for them to upgrade it for a handheld. I don't know.
Yeah,
kind of devil's advocate thing.
That's my point.
For a handheld, it's hard to stuff things in and keep it compact.
Yeah, that was the first thing I brought up, right? It's like,
yeah,
of course it's not, like, if it's going to cost how nice it is to carry a Switch around, then I don't want it. Like,
but I don't think those people are gonna think of that just yet.
Yeah, again, it's the gamer bias. Like, of course you are okay with a Switch that, like, you would have rather a Switch that couldn't be undocked, a permanently docked Switch.
But there's no longer a Switch.
Exactly. It's a Nintendo top or a Nintendo bottom. It's no longer a Switch.
Or maybe, no, not Nintendo top bottom. It's the Nintendo Wii S.
I don't get the reference.
The Wii U, so Wii S.
Oh!
I mean, that had motion controls, right? So, yeah. That's the new Wii.
The Nintendo Wii S. Yeah, I got it. The ghost of the Wii U has returned.
But it's got actually working well now and popular. Oh my god, what a concept.
Yeah, a part of my joke about how not every Nintendo console releases a better version was just like, look at the Wii U. They never bothered going back to improve that.
Yeah.
They saw it approaching the end of its life and they were just, nah, we can let this one go. It's like when you go fishing and you catch that one fish that just looks so pathetic and you're just like, you know what? Not even gonna bring this one home. You just throw it back in the water. You're like, sure.
Yeah.
And then that's how you create a new generation of fish that all look sad and pathetic. Because you let that one go.
Maybe.
And OLED is just like, OLED's another gimmick that I don't particularly care for. It's like,
is OLED supposed to like reduce battery consumption or just look brighter and prettier?
From my limited engineering knowledge, I'm going to roll an engineering check now. That I think I would assume so because LEDs are super power efficient, but I don't know. Don't know enough about OLED. All I know is OLED pretty color. Pretty color so that the dropped frames of your game look amazing. But yeah, no, that's about enough dunking on the Nintendo Switch OLED for us, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can stretch a thing that has barely changed except cause more ouch.
I gotta say, the white color is really pretty though.
Yeah, it's gonna get dirtier faster.
Oh hell yeah, that's gonna get super dirty, but the product photos are pretty. Dude, I have to...
A win for marketing.
A win for marketing. Your Switch looks gorgeous. Everyone else's Switch is good. Dude, so my carrying case for my Nintendo Switch is in Pokeball colors.
Mm-hmm.
Where, one half of it is red and the other half is white. I regret that so much now. It is not white anymore.
That's an F.
Yeah, literally, when I first got it, I ate a Kit Kat and got some chocolate on it, and the stain is still there, and I was just like, oh, why would I do this? Anyways, this has been another episode of The Brave Room, not enhanced for 4K or better performance. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to leave a comment. I love reading all your comments, and at 1,000 views, we have to take one of your terrible suggestions. Anything to say before we blow this joint, Kit?
Stay home, stay safe, I guess.
But also, more importantly, take care of yourself, guys. Things are shit right now.
Oh yeah.
We won't get onto it. We won't get into it on this podcast, but good lord. I have never seen a planet collectively circle the drain. The ocean was on fire.
Yeah. But yeah.
If I were the religious type, that'd be a sign. Hey yo, I feel like you guys weren't getting the more subtle arguments about the end times. So here is the ocean, but on fire.
And also an OLED Nintendo Switch.
But yeah, OLED Nintendo Switch. Oh, Nintendo bad. This has been another episode of The Brave Room. Take care, guys.
Take care.